Hi, Don. Can you kind of just tell us a little bit about the thought process behind trading Jake Bean?
Yeah, we've talked about it great length, and just felt that the way we're situated right now with some of our younger kids coming, and Jake's been in the organization for a number of years. That if we got what we thought was equal value, that we would move him on. Sometimes we've all seen it. The second team, Jake's very capable of taking that next step, and sometimes you need that second team to take it. But for us, it was more where we were with our third. Jake played in our third pairing, and we wanted a different look in that group. So decision was made once we got something that we felt was at fair value to move him.
Corey?
Don, a lot of people talk about the draft being the place where you can kind of make a lot of trades. How active were you today outside of draft picks and trying to do something, whether it's in goaltending or with your defense, or somewhere else?
Well, I can tell you, starting yesterday, it's been ongoing, but when you talk about just the draft starting yesterday and all day today, we tried a lot, number of things, and there just wasn't a fit there. It takes two partners to make a deal. We think we got maybe some fires that get relit after this weekend. But, for us, the picks are important, but we were willing to put them in play if we could help our hockey club right now. But there's just nothing that seemed to work out, and one of the reasons about all the picks, people ask me about trading back. This is a different year, as everything was done on Zoom. No live viewings of the players. A lot of players didn't play. Some players didn't play any games. Some played a few. So it was a little bit of unknown. So we went into the draft with the strategy that we wanted to get as many picks as we possibly can, accumulate, because we're going to miss a lot of guys this year. A lot of people are, but you're going to hit on some guys too. And it's the old saying, the more picks you have, the better your odds are that some of these guys are going to become very good NHL players. So that was a little bit behind the strategy. We went in thinking that way, and it worked out for us. And, we never compromised ourselves as far as we didn't pass on a player that we said, we can't live without this player. A lot of times when you make picks, you might lose the player you're going to take, but we kept every time looking and say, okay, we have three guys on our board. We're going to move back 6-7 spots. We're very comfortable one of those guys is going to be there. And every time it worked out for us. So it was nice to be able to accumulate extra picks to be able to do that with.
Chip?
Yeah, Don, in talking about moving back and picking up picks, was it tough to move the number one pick? Was that a situation where the guy you wanted was not available and you decided to move back, or just looking at the draft as a whole, do you feel like that was the best play for you? I guess the second question would be, too, in talking about the Jake Bean trade, could you also discuss the reasoning behind trading Alex Nedeljkovic?
Yeah, as far as the first pick, we had a number of guys that we had on our list we thought would fall in our spot. And, again, being a different year, we still had a lot of guys still on our list. And so, that's when you're trading a first round pick and moving back however many spots we did, that's where you get that extra picks right off the bat there, which enables you to do more things in the draft. So we wouldn't have done it if there was only one guy there that we couldn't live without, but there was a numerous amount of players that we said this would be a good pick for us, and that's why we did it. The Ned thing is tough. I mean, Ned played good here. We got in a situation, he's been in the organization for 5 years. We've watched him for 5 years. He played good here. He had 20 some good hockey games, but we just felt that with the situation that we were in, he had arb rights. We couldn't work out a deal that, maybe we need more experienced goalies in here. So, we made a decision as an organization. It was everybody was involved, goalie coaches, ownership, everybody was involved. We didn't sit on the island and make this call. You watch a player and, you find out what he's all about. He got an unbelievable hot streak this year, and we can't deny that. And he's such a great kid. You're happy for him and wish him nothing but this success. But we also thought, going forward, maybe we wanted to go with the more veteran looking goaltending duel.
Kirk?
Don, along those same lines, speaking of goaltending, is it your primary objective to sign Mrazek and Bernier, or are you equally open to exploring other options for goaltenders that could come in and play next season?
Yeah, since we don't have anything done, we're wide open. We've talked to numerous amount of teams about trades. We've talked to obviously the players that we own about signing here. We're approaching it that we think we're the opportunity for all these guys because we don't have a goalie, we don't have a starting goalie, and if you really want to be a starting goalie in the NHL, this is a pretty good spot for you. So, and we got a pretty good defense. That's something that goaltenders look at when they're picking teams. So, we're talking to our guys. Obviously, we're talking about some trades, and then you just have to wait to see what happens on free agency on the 28th, which goalies are available. So we're approaching this very open mind. We have some ideas, of course. We didn't do this unplanned, and people I know get excited when we do something like this, but we have a plan, and I'm very confident by time this next week rolls around that we'll have two very quality starting goaltendings. And in today's day, I think you need it. I think you need a 1A and 1B because with the schedule the way it's going to be condensed right now, potential with the Olympic break and that, you're going to need two goalies as we have in the last few years.
Andrew?
Don, do you have any update on where things stand in negotiations with Dougie Hamilton with free agency coming up?
Yeah, no, we're in communication with JP Barry. It's representation. We're going to talk again tomorrow. Our hope is that we can resolve this in the next few days before the 28th hits, one way or another. Our still number one objective is to get them signed. That hasn't changed at all. So we're hoping here in the next 24, 48 hours that we have a better idea of what's going to happen. Both of us agreed that we have to get this resolved before free agency starts because, if free agency starts, we know we need a defenseman. We can't be patient to wait for Dougie to make a decision. We want Dougie back, and we're hoping we can do that this week.
Do you have any update as well on some of your other UFAs besides Dougie and the goalies and guys like Brock McGinn and Jordan Martinook?
Yeah, again, we've been in, one good thing is those guys, especially McGinn and Martinook, they want to be Hurricanes, and you love to hear that. We're trying to find, it's not just what their value is, but how we're going to make this all work with the cap. We're fortunate to have an owner that's willing to spend to the cap. We know we're going to be a cap team, but we got to also make sure that we spend our money correctly. So I think, both guys we're in a good place with both of them. We want them back. Obviously, Roddy wants them back. We just got to find the middle grounds that works for everybody. And, we're hoping that we certainly can get them signed here and continue moving forward with those type of players because they make a difference for a hockey club.
Corey?
Don, kind of sticking with the defense, two things. Can you expect Jake Gardner to be a part of the defense next year, given his situation? And also back to Dougie a little bit, you've got, we've seen some of the deals that were signed, but we also see the teams that made those deals. Do you think that those deals hurt your negotiating stance as far as, the dollar amount, or does it help it because there's fewer landing spots perhaps for somebody like Dougie?
No, it depends on what side of the fence you're on. You probably could argue both ways, but we've let Dougie know we're very open about what we think the value is, and his value might be higher someplace else. But again, we're talking about a team that's trying to win a championship. I've said it before. For years we talked about making the playoffs. We don't want to talk about that anymore. We want to talk about winning championships. And so you got to keep that in mind when you're building a team. You're going to need resources from different areas to be able to put the best team on the ice. So we have a plan in place for Dougie. He's very aware of it. We've made an offer to him, and we have to stay the course because regardless of what happens out around us. Because if we get carried away with one player, regardless if it's Dougie or another player, it's going to be at the expense of losing somebody else. So, we've got this thing mapped out, and we're hoping it goes to the direction that we are headed right now. But things are always subject to change.
Kurt?
Don, again, following up on something you just said, you view this, and rightly so, and everybody around the league sees that there's a window here where the Hurricanes might be able to make a deep, deep run. Do you think this year more than ever, this might be a good time to pursue some of these veteran free agents, maybe a guy who hasn't won a cup, somebody who becomes very attractive just because he's that player at that stage of his career, and now more than ever, they might be the right fit?
Well, I think it goes back a little bit. I think, I don't think we were ever a destination place for players. And now I think we are much more of a destination because as a player gets older in his career, if they haven't won a championship, even if they have, they want to win again. And I know we have a lot more players that are interested in playing in for the Hurricanes than probably years ago. So I think to answer your question, we're going to look at every free agent, whoever we can afford to sign and whoever is a good fit for us. But I think, there's going to be opportunity out there for us. And we're hoping by the time the 28th comes, we have a couple of these things we just talked about figured out so we know exactly how much cap space we have to work with.
Corey?
Don, do you have any clarity yet on the agreement with the CHL regarding players like Seth Jarvis that, as of right now, he has to go back to junior? And are you open to him fighting for a roster spot this year, especially given that you lost Morgan Geekie, so you've lost another kind of bottom six forward that right now?
Yeah, the CHL deal, if Seth Jarvis doesn't play for us here in Raleigh, then he has to go back to his junior team. Can he fight for a spot here? Absolutely. We're trying to win, contracts, age, that's not even a factor. It's who are the best 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, and 2 goalies that give us that chance to win each and every night. So Seth comes in here. I know he's going to prepare well for it. He was outstanding the time he was in Chicago in the American League. If Seth wins a hockey job here on our team, we will keep him. If not, and he needs to go back right now for another year, that's part of the development. That won't hurt him. It's only going to help us and him as we move forward.
Chip?
Yeah, Don, going back to Dougie just for a second, do you feel optimistic you'll be able to get him signed? Do you feel like you're close enough on a potential deal, or are things pretty wide apart still at this point?
No, I think in time they've gotten closer, and I also think, they've got out and checked to see what the market was for him, for Dougie. So I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, nothing's guaranteed and we got work to do in front of us, but I feel like that we're at a spot now where we're, I always say this, it's just like trade deadlines and everything else is, decisions aren't made until somebody's forced to make a decision, and we're running across some deadlines coming up here. Deadlines are when things usually happen. And so I know Dougie's very familiar where we are. We still know what his thoughts are, and it's up to his agent and JP and I to figure it out how we make this work for both of us. It's got to be, he's a free agent. He can go any place. It's got to be a two-way street. It's got to fit for him and it's got to fit for us. But yeah, I feel pretty good that we'll be able to get this done.
Last one, Andrew.
Don, you mentioned in terms of certain things that you want to get done ahead of the opening of free agency, so you know how much cap space you have. Obviously, Andrei Svechnikov is a restricted free agent who's due for a big raise. Are you trying to get him re-signed to a new deal before Wednesday, or is that something that you could see potentially taking longer into the summer?
Yeah, again, Mark Andler, who represents Andre, and I've had lots of talks over the last 6 weeks or whatever. We'll get a deal done. I don't think it's going to happen before Wednesday. There's no urgency from either side right now. We don't start playing until September. So these contracts for these type of players will get done. They just take a long time to get done. So we know where it's headed. Our talks are been very good about what length of a contract and right around the amount. We have a little disagreement there, but we have a pretty good range of how things are going to fall. So we're able to plan, regardless if we get him signed before now or next week. We can plan and know that he's going to be part of our group moving forward.
All right. Thanks, Don.
Thanks, guys.